Hello, back again in the garage for more fun and games. I have decided that we don't have enough bikes. So I got another car. Mk5 Golf TDI GT 2006. It's an on-runner. I think I know what the problem is, or if the chap that I bought it off is to be believed, it's got a misfire in cylinder 2. And certainly when we turned it over, it sounded like a bag of nails. So I suspect that could well be the problem. And I have actually plugged it into my very basic, or with my very basic OBD reader. And sure enough, I'm getting P, I think it's 00202 from memory, which suggests it's the cylinder 2 injector circuit, or possibly the injector itself. Now, if that is the case, and that's all it is, then happy days. We'll just get a new injector, and I'll watch a few videos. So clearly I'm an expert. Try and get that swapped out and see if we can get it going. So what have I done so far? Well, the first and most difficult thing was to get it back here and get it into the garage. That was quite a challenge because the tyres are a bit flat. I had to get Mark, a mate of mine, to get his trailer to pick it up. And then we had all sorts of joy when we pushed it off. It ripped the fuel cooler off from underneath. I'll show you in just a second. Because I want to try and have a look at that, get the engine cut, the under tray off, and try and get that fixed so I can get working on it. And when I went to plug the code reader in earlier, I turned the ignition on. Of course, what happens? The fuel pump starts up and starts squirting fuel all over the floor because the fuel cooler's off. So that's what I need to fix immediately. I also had a problem with the battery, so I've literally just been down to Halfords, picked up a new battery. I tried to put a charger on the old battery. It was an old Yuasa thing, but it wasn't having any of it. So the old battery's clearly knackered. I mean, it's been sat for ages, like I say. Stuck this one in, everything fired up, the alarm started going off, but it all works anyway, so that's all good. So we have live electronics. Someone clearly decided that they didn't like the cable for the bonnet. I had to get that open as well. But this is in pretty good nick. The bodywork is decent. We've got non-OE headlights on here. I think these are called Angel Eyes or something. I think they're worth a bit of money, which is good. But yeah, it's in relatively good nick. The service history was conveniently missing. But then I paid 400 quid for it because it was a non-runner. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, I'll just strip it down and flog the bits. But yeah, I need to get underneath, get it jacked up down here. I need to get underneath, get the under trays off, and I need to work out what on earth's going on with this fuel cooler, because frankly, I can't do anything until I've got that fixed. Okay, so here we are under the car. That is the fuel cooler there. So that basically, oh, I haven't got enough hands to do this, I really haven't. So that basically, this sits up here. There's a gap in that. I've taken the under tray off. The fuel cooler sits up in here, and then it bolts up into here. Now I think, let's see if I can get a closer look. I think that could be buggered. So I think what I'm probably going to have to do there is riv nut into here and then bolt through to put it back into place. The cooler itself seems okay. I don't think the cooler itself is broken, but that has had it. So whatever that attachment was once upon a time has completely gone. So I think I might try and put a screw in there in a minute and see if it threads, or I might try and tap it. I don't know. I have a fiddle. But if the worst comes to the worst, I'll have to riv nut up through there and see if we can attach it. So anyway, this is the mess that we got at the moment. The under tray, I don't think it's ever been off. Look at the state of it. It's got half of bloody England attached to, well, sort of sitting underneath it. Okay, so what we had here was this part, this fuel hose had come out of this union here. I've put it back in, but I don't know if there's supposed to be some sort of connector to hold it in place. I really don't know. I'm going to have to look that up online. This hose here, you can see it's crimped, it's been bent. It was all the way back here. If you follow it along, it's meant to attach. Yeah. God, this is a nightmare. It's meant to attach into here. Now, that at the moment is female to female, so I assume we're missing some sort of connector there. It clips onto this bit, connects into there, that goes up into the fuel pump, and then we're back down to the cooler here. So what I need to do is check this union on this piece here. That's solid, so that's fine. So maybe it's just another one of these T-pieces, whatever these are. I really have no idea. I think I should just replace this hose. As you can see that serial number on there. I presume it's a pretty standard size, these fuel hoses. If I replace the whole thing, just get a length of it, cut it to size, and then we'll need a union up here as well. Joy, and you can see where all the diesel's been leaking out underneath. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. This is quite common apparently. These things do tend to catch sometimes. Right, I'm going to get on. So I think this has been off before, because it looks to me like that is just a bolt, the head of which has been spot welded onto the floor of the car, and then there are two nuts. Oh god, it's a nightmare to see, but there are two nuts holding that on, and then up there, up this end, there is a hole, you can see there, and I don't know, that bolt may have come through, I'm not sure, but yeah, it looks like it's come off before. Okay, so first order of the day is to repair the fuel lines, and then I need to get the fuel cooler back on. Now, fortunately, having done some more furking around underneath the car, I am pretty sure that it is just one fuel line that's broken, so I'm hoping it's going to be a relatively easy fix. So been online, bought some bits, have a look. Okay, so we have, this is the quick connector. So this is the actual fuel line off the bottom of the car. I've cut this quick connector off here, and I have bought a new one. Looks slightly different, I know, but I think the dimensions are very much the same, so that should all fit in quite nicely. Then at the other end, this is where the problem was. So I don't know if you can see, but the quick connector is basically snapped. Well, I think where the cooler came off, it sort of wedged the line and it snapped the quick connector. So that bit would have gone in there, like, or did go like there, in there like that. So that's snapped off. So rather than dick about and try and connect up anything new, I'm just going to replace the whole fuel line. This piece here is the return from the oil cooler, so not the oil cooler, the fuel cooler at this end, and then this elbow here, when it's in the correct orientation, which is basically like that, There is another pipe which clicks straight in there, which seems to be completely intact, and then it goes up to the lift pump and the fuel filter. So it basically sucks the fuel. Well, if I'm understanding this correctly, it sucks the fuel out of the tank through the filter, down through the flow line into the cooler. Then it goes, so not this one, this is where it comes back basically. Then it goes to a secondary pump, which will pump it high pressure, well, pressurizes it and forces it into the injectors. And then it comes back through the cooler into this line here, and then up and back into the tank. So we need to cut another one of these lines. I've bought this, which seems to be identical. It's even the same color. I'm conscious that you need to make sure that it's got the right chemical properties. It certainly seems to have. VW wanted like 120, oh, it was ridiculous, 120 quid or something for a kit, which included all of the these flow and return lines. This has cost me about 15 quid, which I still think is a rip-off for a bunch of nylon tubing, but it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. So let's get this cut and give it a go. Okay, so I've measured this with the connectors in. The hose is 63 mil long, and for those of you who are wondering, because I got it wrong with the first hose that I ordered, this is 8 mil outside diameter and it's 6 mil inside diameter. I think any bigger, I bought an 8 mil internal diameter, and these just fit in far too easily. They need to be really tight. So let's try and cut this. So we need 63 centimeters. That looks about right. There we go. Now, I've never done this before, but to get these quick connectors on, I understand we need to get them into boiling water, or get the end of this hose into boiling water to soften it up. So I'm just going to grab the kettle. It's like a cookery program, this. Absolutely no idea how long we do this for. Guess we just try. Oh, that went well. Okay, I guess we'll be doing that again. Right, let's try that again. So I managed to kink the hose, so that's no good now. We can't install that. I guess it needs a bit longer in the boiling water. Let's try again. If you're ham-fisted like me, perhaps a bit longer in the water. How long do we give it is the question. Absolutely no clue. Ah! Okay, one change of clothes later, and all I've managed to do is singularly fail at getting those quick connectors into the hose. I've basically just burnt myself with boiling water, and yeah, it's not worked at all. Here we go, have a look. So all I've managed to do, I don't know if you can see, I've just kinked it, where I'm just trying to force it in. I don't think it was ever going to work, and God, it bloody hurts boiling water down my front, not much fun. So what I have is I have stopped being a cheapskate, and I bought myself, well, I say stop being a cheapskate, it's a cheap brake flaring tool off Amazon for 16 quid, I think it is. That will arrive tomorrow. That will then, it's got a 5/16 clamp, so I'll be able to clamp the hose into the 5/16 section. Then I should be able to, if I grease it, I should be able to just sort of, open this up with some long nose pliers, put a bit of grease in there, and I should be able to force it in. So we'll have another go when this tool turns up, and hopefully my burns are better. Okay, so I've taken the fuel cooler off. it bolts onto the base along here. So this is the quick connect for the return into one end of the fuel cooler, and it's the broken line in the other connection that I'm trying to replace at the moment. So just collected the diesel that's poured out into this tin of Dolmio here. But I had to get the cooler off because I've had to drill the bolts out so I can riv nut it. And this is the cooler. So this side sits up against the base, the underside of the car, and then I turn it over. So this is the side that faces down and does the cooling duties, basically. So we've got the return pipes here, the quick connects into there. What I've had to do is I've had to drill this out. You can see it's a bit of a mess because it was just sort of spinning freely in there, so that had it. And then this, so you can see it's just literally been spot welded onto the floor of the car, and then through here, and then a couple of nuts to secure it. So I guess it worked, but it doesn't seem very secure. So the plan is I'm gonna try and get some riv bolts into the socket that this was using, same on the other side, and then bolt it up from there. Okay, so this is the spot where the bolt's welded. So I'm just gonna drill. It's not going to be easy upside down. I'm going to drill a hole. Got the carpet there. Right, there we go. It's really difficult doing this under here because you can't get the leverage. I hope that is in. Yeah, so that's in. Okay, good. Now we're going to get the fuel cooler back on. Right, so I've gone as far as I can for now. As you can see, I've basically bolted, riv nutted through the floor, used a hex bolts and a couple of washers to attach that. I've done the same down here as well. And then after I'd done all that, I discovered that I couldn't get this bloody hose in, so I had to take the whole thing out again, put the hose in, and then bolt it all up. So all I have to do now, I'm still waiting for the brake flare tool to turn up. Once I've got that, I can make up the hose, quick connect onto there, and then up to, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so this basically, up to there, and then hopefully we should be done. So we have 5/16, which is 8mm. Let's just open this up. Right, so I think we only want to have as much sticking out as we actually need for the barb, because we don't want it kinking again. That'll be enough to get it started. Right, there goes nothing. Okay, so I'm just trying to open this up. Again, I'm going to be so careful it doesn't kink at the bottom here, which is harder than it seems, but you want to give yourself a fighting chance by stretching it as much as possible. Oh, fuck. My hand is absolutely dead. It's going in slowly. That last millimetre. God, Jesus. There. I think it's there. There we go. That's in. I think we've got them both in. By Christ, that's difficult. Don't fancy doing that again. But I did have to do it again because, as it turned out, I had used the wrong piece of hose. It was too long and it didn't fit. So I had to recut it. I had to go through the whole process again. It was horrendous. It's absolutely destroyed my hand. My advice to anyone doing this job is if, depending upon the quick connects you're using, there is a cheap way of doing it with a cork gun and a socket where you can put the quick connect in at a right angle and you can force it in using a cork gun. That's the cheap way of doing it. But I couldn't get a socket. My 32mm socket, which is the biggest one I have, couldn't get the quick connect in. So that didn't work for me. You can also buy a 70-80 quid quick connect application tool, which is the professional way of doing it, the easier way of doing it. But I wasn't going to shell out for that for something that I'm probably only going to do once. So I just pursued the difficult route and did it the hard way. So essentially, try and open up the end of the hose with pliers, as long nose pliers as you saw me do, lots of grease, and then just force the bugger in from there. But you've got to be so careful not to kink it. You've got to make sure you're going in at a right angle and make sure there's only enough hose exposed so that you don't kink it. So no more than you actually need. Yeah, not fun, but it's done now. So let's get this fitted back up to the bottom of the car. Yeah. Okay, that's in. That was a pretty satisfying click. Now I'm going to see if we can get this one in. Well, that was a lot harder than I thought. Anyway, it's done. Fuel cooler is bolted back up. Fuel lines are in. Just got to try and purge the fuel line, get all the air out, and try and get it started. But we'll save that one for the next video. So thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe if you like what you're seeing, and yeah, wish me luck trying to get this thing started. Next job is to get the rocker cover off and to start working out what's going on, whether it's the loom or it's an injector that's broken, and go from there. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.